Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is August the 2nd, and we're doing a bit about sunscreen. Your first line of defense against the sun. It sounds like it sounds like we're doing a commercial for sunscreen with this title here.
Yeah. 好，那我们的中文标题是防晒乳冒号抗晒的第一道防线。好，那事实上跟英文这个标题很接近。Sunscreen 就是防晒乳。好，那注意这个重音在前面，好，不要念 sunscreen， 好，这 sunscreen。各位有没有觉得 sunscreen 跟 sunscreen 听起来是 two different things？ 好，所以要小心啊，这个对的才是 sunscreen。But
actually, because there's a screen that you can put up against the sun, like a physical thing to block, like an umbrella or something else, and we still would say sunscreen. We wouldn't say sunscreen.
Yeah, still.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
因为它是复合名词
right.
所以这个刚刚 Angela 老师讲，就是这有一种那种类似遮阳的这个像百叶窗之类的东西可以遮阳的那个英文也是叫做 sunscreen 重音也是在前面然后呢，后面他讲到说 your first 你的第一道，那 line of defense 就是防线，那 against 就是你防的是什么东西，好，所以这是你的第一道防线，防的是太阳。
So let's read the article first, and then I have a footnote to talk to you guys about sunscreen. Okay. Sunny days may seem like the perfect weather to have fun outside. Many people enjoy cycling in the park, hiking in the mountains, and swimming at the beach. However, there is something one should always do before heading outdoors to enjoy these activities. Put on sunscreen. Sunscreen is composed of particles that physically bounce radiation off the skin and react with ultraviolet or UV rays, absorbing the rays and giving off the energy as heat. While there are no sunscreens that can give you 100% protection from the sun, they can greatly reduce the effects of sun damage. Labeled on every bottle of sunscreen is its sun protection factor, or SPF. This number measures the protectiveness of the sunscreen against UV radiation. For example, a sunscreen that offers an SPF of 30 will block around 97% of the UV rays. Comparatively, a sunscreen containing an SPF of 50 will shield against 98% of the UV rays. Selecting a sunscreen with an adequate SPF is important for effective protection. Otherwise, too many of the sun's harmful rays will penetrate the sunscreen. When you choose the right sunscreen, it's useful to think about the activities you will be doing. Sunscreen is only effective for a certain amount of time. Sweating and doing things like swimming will decrease the duration of its effectiveness. Therefore, it is wise to apply waterproof or water-resistant sunscreen to your skin. It is also important to note that there are two types of UV radiation: ultraviolet A, UVA, and ultraviolet B, UVB rays. Both of these rays can cause sunburn and skin cancer. However, most sunscreens only provide protection from UVB rays. So, when purchasing sunscreen, try looking for kinds that help protect your skin against both UVB and UVA. Okay, this really is an advertisement for sunscreen in some ways. I want to point out two things. One is that when you go to the beach with the thousands of other people that go to the beach, and all of you are slathering yourselves in sunscreen, that sunscreen is then washing off into the water of the beach and right onto all of the animals and plants in the nearby ocean, especially the thousands and thousands of iterations of this. And so it's kind of bad for the environment.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention that.
好，所以这个 Angela 说呢，有一点大家可能都没想到的就是当你去海边，很多人，那每个人都抹上了厚厚的防晒乳，然后到海里面去，那这个时候呢，其实防晒乳它是会污染海洋的生态环境的所以这一点大家要注意。
But you know what does provide protection from the sun?
What?
A hat and long sleeves and gloves. Like, I'm not saying you should go swimming in gloves, but I try to wear, like, what is that called? It's called a Rash Guard. It's what surfers wear when they go swimming. They have, like, it's like a long sleeve shirt. And sometimes it comes right down to, like, the back of your hand, and it's got like a mock turtleneck. So it covers most of your body, and so I don't have to worry about any kind of UV problems because it's actually UV protective. And then I don't have to worry about slathering gook on myself. And so, of course, I still have to put it on my face, but at least I'm using less.
好，那这个 Angela 是讲说，当然这个防晒最好的方法就是戴帽子，然后呢，像是游泳的话，当然你不可能戴帽子，所以脸上多少要擦一点防晒。但是呢，其实有一种这个衣服呢，它其实是可以游泳的时候穿的，那它是长袖的所以其实你穿那样子的衣服游泳的话呢，身体大部分都被遮蔽住了，所以也可以让你防晒那当然这个主要是还没有流行所以你如果穿那样子的衣服去游泳的话，这个你自己要游得快乐别人看你的话就当作没关系。
But this is why I like living in Taiwan, because in Taiwan, if you show up at the beach in like full-length sleeves and like leggings all the way down to your ankles, nobody cares. Just about half the people are dressed like that. So this only is a problem when you go to Europe. When I was in Europe and I dressed like this, everyone was like, what? Because they're like, it's not a burqa, because they were worried, that I look Muslim or something. But they weren't sure. They're like, is this woman Muslim? But she's not got her head covered. Like, I confused them so badly, which good. People need a little confusion in their life.
Yeah, 不过 Angela 说呢，在台湾这比较没问题他就在台湾游泳，他都穿长袖的。然后他说其实也不少人穿长袖的，所以大家都不会引人侧目。可是他说，如果到欧洲去的话呢，他这个如果穿着长袖去游泳的话，人家就会觉得，这是回教徒吗？可是他又头上又没有遮蔽，所以就大家就会有一点糊里糊涂，就一直盯着他看。
Yeah, well, that's the problem is I get stared at, but I'm used to that. Okay, so let's read the article in detail. Sunny days may seem like the perfect weather to have fun outside. Do you see the sort of uncertainty we have injected into this sentence? Because it's saying sunny days are great. They're perfect. But we don't say that. We said they may seem like the perfect weather to have fun outside. So we have immediately introduced tension into this sentence. We've gone from a very basic statement to like horror movie kind of like creepy music coming up. Like, uh-oh, what's the problem here? What is going to be wrong?
好，所以这个句子呢，其实各位看到，他一开始讲说 sunny days 就是阳光明媚的日子，可是他接下来讲 may seem like， 好，这个就是语气开始有点保留了，也许看起来像那这个句子就产生了一个张力，因为如果他直接说 sunny days are the perfect weather 这个阳光明媚的日子就是完美的天气可以去户外玩耍那这样就没有那个 tension， 但他加了一个 may seem like， 那读者就会想说那到底是有什么问题呢所以这个句子开头的句子这个算是很有力量的一个句子。
So this is an example of introducing tension into a story. Storytellers use this, comedians use this. This is the central part of a joke. You create a tension and then you string them out for a little bit, and then you resolve the tension. People find writing or storytelling or jokes way more interesting when you do this.
好，所以呢，这个是写文章或者是写故事的时候一个很常用的一个方法，就是开头的时候你要想办法 build up 某一种的 tension 就是让读者觉得他想要继续往下看，因为有些事情没有解决，或者他很好奇你到底这后面还藏有什么后话。
So then the second sentence is just very ordinary, and it's very true. Many people enjoy cycling in the park, hiking in the mountains, and swimming at the beach. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, 那这个句子呢，各位可以注意到他写的非常的平衡所以呢，他讲 many people 很多人 many people enjoy 很喜欢那三件事情。第一个 cycling 就是骑脚踏车，然后呢，他一个时间一个地方副词片语 in the park。那接下来下一个喜欢做什么呢 ？hiking 大家也很喜欢这个动名词，那后面一样接一个地方副词 in the mountains， 就是到山里面去走走hiking 通常我们翻成健行但其实你去爬山爬阳明山那种，你没有用登山装备那种，你只是去山里面走一走，那也叫做 hiking， 那中文也可以叫做爬山那另外呢，第三件事情是 swimming 游泳，同样的他在后面加了一个地方副词片语 at the beach 所以这个 in the park in the mountains at the beach 然后呢，相对于 cycling、hiking 跟 swimming， 所以这个句子是 very well balanced。
Yes, there's three things. There's an activity in a place, activity in a place, activity in a place. So this is the middle of the story. We haven't resolved any tension. We're telling something to people that they already know, and we're doing it in this sort of repetitive way. So we're like, okay, but tell me what's wrong. So you're actually ratcheting up the tension with this ordinary repetitive sentence.
那事实上这个句子因为是很平常，而且呢它有一点点那种重复的感觉，因为它是有3个重复的 elements， 所以反而会让这个读者更加的觉得说，在这里你到底要讲什么，他反而会更好奇，所以这也是一种写作的手法。
And then our third sentence puts it to rest. However, we knew there was something coming. However, there is something one should always do before heading outdoors to enjoy these activities. Dun, 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 dun. Put on sunscreen. So we have, even though it's very tiny things and we're not talking about something very important, we have successfully, with this entire paragraph, put an emphasis on our final thing, which is, we want you to wear sunscreen.
好，那我们可以看到这个地方 however 那你就知道这个转折来了那答案大概要出来了，所以到底为什么是 may seem like 呢？原因在这里，他说呢，但是 there is something one should always do， 有件事情是你一定要做的在什么之前一定要做呢？ before 在你 heading outdoors走向户外之前一定要做的。那走到户外去的目的是干嘛呢？是 to enjoy these activities， 去享受刚刚讲的这些活动然后呢，最后一个句最终的部分在尾巴，所以它最重要的部分放在尾巴，告诉你要做什么呢？ Put on sunscreen， 你一定要擦或者一定要涂防晒乳。
So, sunscreen is composed of particles that physically bounce radiation off the skin and react with ultraviolet rays, absorbing the rays and giving off the energy as heat. Whew, that is a very solid sentence. We just went through this whole tension process, and now we're just telling you what sunscreen is in a very dense sentence that tells you exactly what it is. So it's composed of, it's made up of particles. Particles are small bits that physically bounce radiation off the skin. It's not a chemical process. They physically block the radiation of the sun and send it back off into space. So if something bounces, it arrives and immediately leaves. So this radiation doesn't actually reach your skin. It's actually blocked by these particles. And then these particles also react with ultraviolet rays. React with is a chemical process. Somehow the chemistry of it works that these particles absorb the rays. They suck it in. And then they give off the energy as heat. So they change the UV rays into heat. And having read that sentence, I did not know this before I read this article, and I finally understood why I always feel so hot and uncomfortable when I wear sunscreen. It's literally creating heat upon my skin when it reacts with the UV lights. That is like, wow, okay.
所以 Angela 老师呢，其实我也不知道读了这个文章才知道说，原来防晒乳会把阳光转成热难怪 Angela 老师说他每次擦这个防晒乳都总觉得会很热那我们来看看这个句，他说呢 Sunscreen is composed of 就是由什么组成？由 particles 粒子所组成那这些粒子怎么样呢？后面这个 that 子句就是在修饰这个粒子。这个粒子它会 physically 就是它以物理方式它会 bounce radiation off bounce off 就是把它弹开，所以它会把 radiation 辐射从哪里弹开呢？ bounce radiation off the skin 它会从皮肤上把辐射弹开，然后呢它也会 react with 就是跟什么发生反应，它会跟什么发生反应呢？跟紫外线发生反应然后呢怎么样发生反应？它继续解释，用分词告诉你它是 absorbing， 它会吸收 the rays 就是指紫外线，它会吸收紫外线，然后呢 giving off 就是散发或者释放 the energy， 把紫外线的能量呢把它散发出去 as heat， 以热的方式把紫外线的能量把它散掉。
So, while there are no sunscreens that can give you 100% protection from the sun, because I guess you'd have to paint your skin black and make sure that you might as well just put on a shirt, they can greatly reduce the effects of sun damage. So, what we're talking about with sun damage here is the sun creating melanin pockets in your skin or making the connections, the collagen fall apart, and so you get wrinkly later. So whatever, just normal human being stuff. I mean, we've been sun damaged our whole lives. It's just that people are obsessed with their skin these days. So putting on sunscreen can reduce the effects of sun damage. So the damage will be reduced, or the effects of this damage, i.e. wrinkles and spots, will be reduced.
好，所以呢，这个地方讲 while 是虽然啊，虽然 there are no sunscreens that can give you 100% protection 啊，所以没有一个防晒乳可以给你100%的保护啊，保护什么呢 ？Protection from the sun 就是保护你免受阳光之害。好，虽然是这样子，但是呢 ，they 就是指防晒乳，它们可以 greatly 大大的 reduce 减低 the effects of sun damage， 可以大大的减低太阳对你皮肤伤害所造成的这些后果啊，所以换句话说，它能够大大的减低你晒伤的结果或者是伤害。
Labeled on every bottle of sunscreen is its sun protection factor, or SPF. You know, that was actually like a commercial phrase that was invented by Coppertone when they started selling sunscreen. The sun protection factor, the SPF, and they were the first ones to put this number on the bottle.And now it's like, I love that this guy is writing it like this is just a thing that you rate sunscreens in. It has just become a thing, but it was a marketing ploy to begin with. And now it's just the sun protection factor, the SPF. Just because it's an acronym doesn't make it official. But I mean, it's become the thing.
Yeah, 好，所以这个 SPF 这个听起来很伟大哈。一开始的时候，大家哇，这个东西好像是很先进的一个东西。那现在我们知道这个只是一个系数而已，好，就是防晒系数啊。那我们可以看到这个句子呢，它一开始它讲啊 ，labeled 这个是个分词，好 ，labeled on every bottle of sunscreen， 好，这个每一瓶这个防晒乳上面都有贴上这样的标签啊。那 is 是什么呢？那这个其实是个倒装句，这个 labeled on every bottle of sunscreen 其实是一个副词片语，它把它调到句首来了。然后呢，中间 be 动是 is 后面那个呢？其实是原来句子的主词啊，那它这样调过来之后，它可以把强调一下那个主词啊，而且通常这种调法就是那个主词后面会有修饰词，像这里地方它的修饰词就是 or SPF。好，那所以在这种情况下，它常常会把这个主词调到后面来，把副词片语放到前面去。所以什么东西是会贴在每一瓶上面呢？每一瓶防晒乳上面是它的太阳的这个 protection factor， 就是保护系数啊，或者是 SPF。So
this number measures the protectiveness of the sunscreen against UV radiation. I don't know if it measures it because honestly, it started as a consumer gimmick and it continues to kind of be a consumer gimmick. I mean, you'll notice in the next sentence, an SPF of 30 is 97% and an SPF of 50 is 98%. Like in which world do these numbers work out? I don't know, maybe they do, but it doesn't really measure it indicates it would be a much better word here. It shows us, okay, this one intends to try to be really, really good. And this one doesn't care so much, essentially.
好，所以他说 this number 就是那个防晒系数呢是个数字。那他这里用 measures 这个字啊，那文法上都没有错啊。不过 measures 它是用来计量的啊，那它是用来计量这个protectiveness of the sunscreen 啊，它是要计量这个防晒乳它的 protectiveness 它的保护力或者防护力啊，那是对抗 against 是对抗，所以要计算它对抗这个紫外线辐射的这个防护力。好，那但是这个刚刚 Angela 讲说这个地方呢，其实我们用另外一个字也许会更适合，就是 indicates， 因为它是用来指示，是来告诉你这个防晒乳它对于保护太阳这个保护这个紫外线辐射它力量或者是它的这个有效程度到什么程度，因为那个其实 SPF 是我们所发现的我们所用的一个本来其实是个商业上面的一个用法。
So for example, a sunscreen that offers an SPF of 30 will block around 97% of the UV rays. And by block, we mean not allow them to reach your skin.
所以 block 就是阻挡或者是阻隔。所以例如呢，他说A sunscreen that offers an SPF of 30， 好，那这个句型就是这样讲，某个东西它有一个 an SPF of 多少。好，所以这句话意思就是防晒系数是30的防晒乳呢，它可以 block 可以阻挡大约 97% 的紫外线。
Comparatively or in comparison, Or in contrast? No, contrast is when there's a huge difference. Here we're just talking about that there's two similar numbers. So in comparison, a sunscreen containing an SPF of 50 will shield against 98% of the UV rays. Shield and block are basically the same thing. It will prevent it from touching your skin. Now, why did we say the UV rays? Because the indicates a specific set of UV rays. And normally, in this case, I would recommend to a student to just say UV rays because we're talking about in general. However, we still can use the here because we're speaking about the UV rays that would otherwise touch your skin. So we are speaking about a specific set of UV rays.
好，那刚刚 Angela 讲的是这个最后这个98% of the UV rays。为什么要加 the 呢？因为其实我们本来可以是不用加的，但加呢，在这里这个 the 它是特定的，因为它指的是本来可能会对你皮肤造成伤害的那样的，所以它是特定的一种紫外线。好，所以这里加了一个 the。好，那我们再来看这个句子的前面，他说 comparatively 就是相较之下，相比较之下呢，那一个 sunscreen 它如果是 containing， 它如果是包含了一个防晒系数是50的话呢，那它就可以 shield against， shield 是盾牌啊，那当动词的话就是屏蔽啊，保障。那 against 也是对抗的意思，所以如果它防晒系数是50的话呢，那它大概可以屏蔽，可以抵抗掉紫外线大概是 98%。
Selecting a sunscreen with an adequate SPF is important. What's an adequate SPF? It's an SPF that is high enough or strong enough or lasts long enough for your purposes. So adequate is a judgment. It's good enough. But you can't say a good enough SPF. You could say an SPF that is good enough. But if you want to say it shorter, just say an adequate SPF. And this is important for effective protection, for protection that actually works. Otherwise, too many of the sun's harmful rays will penetrate the sunscreen and therefore damage your skin.
好，所以选择一个防晒乳，那它要有 adequate， 就是足够的，能够满足你需要的这个防晒系数。这样的一件事呢 is important， 是很重要的。好，对什么来讲很重要呢？对于有效的保护 effective protection 来讲很重要。Otherwise， 否则的话呢 too many of 如果有太多的这个太阳的 harmful rays 有害的太阳射线，那它将会 penetrate 会穿透 the sunscreen 会穿透你的防晒乳，所以你系数如果不够的话，太阳太多还是会穿透那个防晒乳的。
When you choose the right sunscreen, it's useful to think about the activities you will be doing. So it's important to think in advance. What am I going to do in the sun?
所以当你在选择合适的防晒乳的时候呢，很有用的一件事情就是你要先想一下，考虑一下你将要从事的是什么样的 activities。Sunscreen
is only effective for a certain amount of time. It only works for a certain amount of time. There's no other way to say that. It's just like a period of time.
所以呢，他说防晒乳呢，它有效，但是呢，只有在一定的时间、一段时间里面有效啊。那过了那个时间，超过那个时间就没有效了。
Sweating and doing things like swimming will decrease the duration of its effectiveness. It will shorten the amount of time that it's effective because you're washing it away.
好，那如果流汗，还有呢 doing things like swimming 啊，你从事的是例如游泳这样的事情的话呢，都会 decrease 会减少或者降低 the duration 就是那个持续的时间 of its effectiveness 就会降低它有效的这个持续的时间。
Therefore, it is wise to, or is a good idea to, apply or use waterproof or water-resistant sunscreen to your skin. Apply something to your skin or use that thing.
好，因此呢，这件事情是很聪明的，很明智的。什么事情很明智呢？ It is wise to， 你要 apply 就是擦或者涂抹 ，waterproof 就是防水啊，或者是 water-resistant。抗水的这种防晒乳 to your skin, apply something to your skin 就在你的皮肤上擦什么东西。
It is also important to note that there are two types of UV radiation, ultraviolet A or UVA and ultraviolet B, UVB rays.
那另外一件很重要的事情是你要 note, 你要注意有两种紫外线，其实好，一种是紫外线 A, 一种是紫外线 B.
Both of these rays can cause sunburn and skin cancer. However, most sunscreens only provide protection from UVB rays.
好，那这两种紫外线呢，都可以造成 cause sunburn 晒伤，或者是 skin cancer 或者是皮肤癌。但是呢，大多数的防晒乳只提供保护，而且只是提供你保护这个紫外线 B。So,
when purchasing sunscreen, when you're buying sunscreen, try looking for kinds that help protect your skin against both UVB and UVA.
所以呢，当你要买防晒乳的时候，你要试试看能不能找到那种可以保护你，同时帮你保护免受 UVB 跟 UVA 这样的防晒乳。
Okay, so we're done with the article, but of course we have some questions for you. Number one of which is, which of the following statements is true?
下列哪项叙述是正确的？
And the answer is D. SPF is a measure of how well a sunscreen can protect skin against some rays.
所以他说 D 这个是正确答案，因为他说这个 SPF 是防晒霜，它保护皮肤免受某种射线伤害程度的一个指标。
And number two, Amy and 3 of her friends went to the drugstore to buy sunscreen. Which of their interpretations of what they saw on the sunscreen bottles is correct? Which of what they decided is correct?
好，所以呢，这个 Amy 跟她的3个朋友一起到药妆店买防晒乳。那他们对防晒乳瓶子上面所看到的解读底下哪一个是正确的呢？
The answer is A. Friend 1 says, most types of sunscreen only provide protection from UVB, but not UVA rays.
所以答案是 A 因为朋友1他说呢，大多数种类的防晒霜仅提供对 UVB 射线而非 UVA 射线的保护。
And number 3, according to the passage, what are the effects of too much UV radiation?
根据本文，紫外线照射过多会有什么影响呢？
The answer is C, skin cancer and sunburn.
答案是 C, 皮肤癌还有晒伤。
So that is enough scaring you guys about your skin for today. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.